Welcome to Royle Subjects, your go-to podcast for anyone trying to navigate the ever-changing world of real estate.
Come with us as we explore topics that are always relevant, never boring, and designed with you in mind. Welcome back to Royle Subjects. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're talking about relocation, focused on what our process is if you're considering moving to a new city. Because it's a little different than if you're relocating within the same city.
We've worked a lot with military clients, especially in the last few months. Within the spring, this is posting season, people are getting their messages, they're finding out where they're supposed to be headed to. And for a lot of those folks, it is CFB Trenton. So for people that are moving to the Trenton area, really important to consider the price point and also not just what their budget can get them today when they're buying, but also what is the value of that home going to be 2, 3, 4, actually truly maybe even 1 year down the road if they're posted again somewhere else, because the home that they buy is going to be the home that they sell. And so it's really important to consider not just, the budget or the configuration to suit their family needs, but also what is the resale value? So what neighborhood is it in? Are there value add opportunities? Is that even realistic based on their life? And so those are some of the considerations that we factor in when working with our military clients.
Another reason people are relocating to Belleville is the work from home movement has been massive, and it's given people the flexibility to be able to work from wherever. So I've had quite a few first-time investors say, well, I can move here, invest, live in the property so that I can use my first-time home buyer, take advantage of all of these different resources available to me, but why Belleville?
Right.
And so they're looking at Belleville as, is it a good financial investment, and am I going to enjoy it from a family standpoint? And then the third reason is just, you're looking to relocate. You want to start over somewhere new. I had a client recently reach out to me. They've lived in the same city for 18 years, and they're just moving on to a new phase of their life. One daughter is starting grade 9, one's going to University of Ottawa, and the mom works remotely. So they can really take their pick of anywhere. They want to be on the 401 corridor, so it's on the way to Ottawa. But, Belleville was just one of many cities that they were exploring. And so that, again, was a unique conversation. The things that they're looking for in a city and in a property are, very different from what a military person might be looking for or an investor might be looking for. But the relocation piece of it is very much so the same.
Yeah. Well, and you think back to that episode that we did about, return on investment versus return on enjoyment. Obviously, every purchase, well-timed, well-considered, ought to be giving you some kind of return on your investment. That's a smart home buying strategy to adopt regardless of what your station in life is or what type of home you're buying. But for, the difference between a military family and, a family that's just relocating for their own personal interests, you're going to be looking at homes with different motivating factors and different, with military, you're kind of beginning with the end in mind, which to the average home buyer might sound a little bit discouraging or grim or sad. But the reality of our military families is that they know that the home that they're moving to is not their forever home. It's their for right now home. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure that it's suitable for them, for their lifestyle, for their commute to work, all of those kind of important things. But ultimately that the saleability of their home is still going to be in place down the road. For folks that are relocating for their own personal enjoyment or, to improve their quality of life or perhaps be closer to family, things like that. Again, you're focusing on more the enjoyment side of things. So, what's the commute going to be to grandma's house? Are we close to school? Are there opportunities for us to get away as a family for the weekend? Is there a dog park nearby? All of those creature comforts sort of come into play a little bit more predominantly, I think, because especially when you have the flexibility of relocating to wherever you want to or, within range of some different cities, it's nice to have that. And so those personal preferences sort of rise to the top as the strongest determining factors.
And that's where the conversation differs. With investor clients in the past, we have the numbers conversation first, and then we have the what are your priorities? What kind of life do you want to live if you're going to be moving to this place? Whereas in this situation, they have a budget in mind, and then it was more of what lifestyle are you looking for? It turns out these people are very much into the outdoors and hiking. They wanted a kind of century home with character. Oldie's Till came to mind. They wanted a community that was welcoming and inviting and had lots of local events, and Belleville happened to check off all of those boxes. It might be a different situation if someone was looking for something a little more rural. They might want to be looking, in the outskirts of Belleville. But it's just all personal preference when it comes to relocating in that sense. And That's where it was really lovely. I met with these clients for coffee, and we scheduled 45 minutes just to have coffee, chat, figure out what their likes and dislikes were, get to know each other on a personal level. And then we were able to take that conversation, and I was able to, go the long way to some of the properties that we saw to kind of showcase areas of Belleville that I thought they might want to see. Because when you've never been to a place, where do you start?
Yeah. Which I think is almost more beneficial to get a full scope of the area that you could be living in. Because if you think back to our Trenton, Quinte West focused episode, I talked about the first time I came to Trenton. I just thought it was very industrial, very a lot of cement in some of the places that I went to, and it just wasn't giving the suburban lifestyle look that I was hoping for, which is hilarious because now if you drive 10 minutes past where I had been at the time, you're in suburban Trenton. Getting out and driving and looking at those other places to give you a full scope of what the whole city has to offer, and some of those little pockets that are more preferable than others. I'm working with some first-time homebuyers who are currently living in Toronto for a very affordable rental amount, but they're looking to buy their first home because they want to build equity. They want to be able to move on to bigger and better down the road. They know that they need to start at a certain point. So they started looking in places like Trenton and Belleville because they recognize that towns outside of the GTA are going to have a more affordable price point for them. Obviously, at more affordable price points, you sometimes face more competition, but thankfully, they're not afraid to get their hands dirty, so they're definitely in a more advantageous position. So for them, the price point is definitely a consideration, and so that's why they're looking in smaller towns outside of the Toronto area. But you sort of have to get creative with that. But again, same thing with our military folk. They're beginning with the end in mind. They know that the first home that they buy isn't going to be their forever home. And so they're looking for opportunities to add value, opportunities to still enjoy where they live. Maybe we're close to the water or, close to a walking trail, something like that. But by and large, their goal is to find a really good opportunity for a return on investment.
With the family I'm working with right now, that was the first thing. Are there houses that have the character, the charm, and the number of bedrooms that I want within my price category? Yes. Okay. Now let's go and see if the city has the lifestyle and the community that we want to be a part of. You start with box number 1, which is most often price, unless you're in a very unique situation. And then you go to box number 2 and box number 3. But this is where, and we've said it many times, working with a local agent who knows the area is that much more important. 1, we know the market, but 2, we know the community. Yeah. I can tell you about the Soup Festival and Porch Fest. Knowing those things about your community that you wouldn't know if you didn't live here or you hadn't grown up here is just one of those added benefits of working with someone local.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to showcase our cities in a way that we know. Like, I've worked with families, right? And so they said, I really appreciate the fact that you knew where all the good family-based neighborhoods are, where I know that my kids can play outside and I don't have to worry about that. I know that I've got really kind neighbors to check on me. I'm close to really good school districts, and having those kind of conversations with our clients, it just really, it sweetens the overall experience because we recognize that, yes, our services help you to buy a home. But, we also recognize there's so much more that goes into it than just buying a home that's within your price point. And so it's nice to be able to have those conversations, get to know our clients, get to know their wants, their needs, what makes them tick, what makes them really happy, and then finding a home that not just, fits their budget, but fits their entire lifestyle.
I think you would agree with this statement. I didn't get into real estate for the houses. I got into it for the people.
Yeah.
Right? And so these types of situations where someone's relocating and I get to share my love of my city, it's my favorite kind.
Houses come and go. People are forever.
So if you're looking to relocate or you're considering moving to a new area, reach out to us. If it's, in the Hastings County, Belleville, Quinte West, we know the area quite well. And if it's somewhere further, don't hesitate to reach out as well. We have connections in other areas and we can put you in touch with someone who's going to give you, that kind of local experience and also do a good job on the real estate side of things.
Right on. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Danielle. And we can't wait to talk to you next week. If you have any questions regarding real estate, please feel free to reach out at our website, theroylegroup.ca, or the Royle Group on any social media platforms.
See you around.